Okay, guys, so we're back again. Those of you that have tuned in before, this is a new video now. I decided that we're going to do something healthy but delicious. A lot of options here that we can play with. Figured we'd have a little conversation while we're going, but first, let's wash our hands. One thing nobody ever shows you is they actually clean their hands. Here. Believe it or not, in this day and age with COVID-19, simply washing your hands with antibacterial soap kills that virus. Little known fact, if you're not up on it, that protein-based viruses, the outer layer is scrubbed away with soap and water. So now let's get to it. So here on the Old Man Bully Cooks, I do some smoking, I do some baking, I do some home style cooking. It all comes from my my roots and my own creativity and what I like. My one grandmother, my Grandma Peace, was Italian. My other grandmother, Grandma Koval, was Polish. I pull a lot from those. They had a lot of little tips and tricks in how they cooked and baked and things that are different. And that's where I get a lot of it, but then I bring my own style into it. So what we're gonna do today is an applesauce oatmeal muffin. Healthy, nice and filling, good for the cholesterol, gets that down, those oats, keeps that lower diastolic number from thumping away at you. So first things first, we're gonna take our oats, 1 1/4 cup of rolled oats, half a cup of milk. Now, I'm using regular milk, but this regular milk, I'm using Fairlight milk. Fairlight milk uses 50% less sugar, has 13 grams of protein, it's ultra filtered. This is a better milk for you, not your local, pasteurized milk at Walmart. It costs just a little bit more, but it's definitely worth the difference. I have, for my recipe, I'm using raw honey. Always make sure that your honey is local from the United States. There's actually a really neat documentary on the Netflix that talks about honey and how foreign honey that comes from other countries, even if they say it comes from Switzerland, the odds are it's rooted in China, and China has become notorious for using brown rice syrup in place of honey and calling it honey, which it's not honey then, and selling it as that. Watch the documentary; it's really informative. So with the oats, I used 1/3 cup of honey, 1 egg. Cage-free brown egg. I'm using 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. I'm not rich enough to be able to be using real vanilla, so I gotta use imitation. Here I have melted 1/2 cup of coconut oil, or I actually used organic coconut oil instead of butter. A little healthier option. That's going in there. And now, straight from my canning room, homemade applesauce. We're going to use 1 1/4 cup of this. This is another reason you only need the 1/3 of a cup of honey. And if you don't get all the honey, it's okay, because we have this applesauce. I don't use unsweetened applesauce. I use my applesauce. I like a chunkier applesauce. I don't like baby food. So there. That's going in. And here. There. 1 1/4 cups, and then we're going to mix this around real quick. Here, get this all brought together. So I've actually been pretty happy. I've been able to start rolling in small groups again. For those of you that don't know what rolling is, it's what we call wrestling in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and grappling. It's like wrestling. We call it rolling because we're on the ground, and most things on the ground end up in circles. So that's where that comes from. But now I'm going to take another bowl. I'm going to take 1 cup of whole wheat flour, not white, whole wheat flour, unbleached, regular old-fashioned whole wheat flour. I'm going to put that in another bowl here. And I've taken and combined 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Now, if you were doing this with regular flour, you could use self-rising flour, because basically 1 teaspoon of baking powder and 3/4 teaspoons of baking soda is what is in self-rising flour per cup. So that's what brings it all together. We don't use self-rising flour here, so we're putting that in here. Also, there's 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. Now we have some cinnamon that's in our applesauce, and like I say, there's no such thing as too much cinnamon. So that goes in here. And then I'm using dried cranberries today. So 1/2 cup of dried cranberries, and that's going to go in here. And just bring it all together. See? There. Now we're going to add our wet mixture. There. It's actually super easy. Why people buy things out of the box is beyond me, when you know that you can make something from scratch. Here. Okay. And now we're just going to combine the two. Okay. Like I was saying, when you can make something from scratch that takes pretty much the same amount of time, what, 5 minutes more to prepare, and then you know what's in it. The problem with Americans' diets now is that they're eating stuff that they have no idea what they're eating. I mean, I lived that life. You know, I was never highly concerned about my weight. I was always healthy and all that, and then I got into my 30s, and a pound or two crept on, and pounds crept on, and next thing you know, I'm no longer 165 like I was when I got out of the Army. I'm all of a sudden about 260 pounds, and high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and I'm like, I got to get back into shape. And people ask me, well, how did you do it? How did you do it? And I tell them, I didn't cheat. I ate right. I lived right. I don't drink. I didn't smoke. I exercised regularly and brought it all together. So now all of our ingredients are well combined. I'm going to come over here and grab my muffin pan. Now, you can do this recipe 2 different ways. You can either use a 12 muffin pan or a 6. If it's a 12 muffin pan, you can put it in the oven for 15 to 20 minutes and they'll be done. I like big muffins. Nobody ever buys little muffins at the store. They buy big ones. If you buy little ones, you end up eating 2 or 3 anyways. So you can either take your muffin pan, spray it with the non-stick cooking spray, or use cups. I decided to get fancy today. I want to see how the cups work. So here, we're going to take our scoop, about a 1/2 cup, and ladle those in to each one. Just like so. So at any time, if anybody ever has any questions or comments, feel free to leave them on down in the comments, you know, down there, and I'll be sure to answer them. I mean, I got nothing else going on during the quarantine, so here. As you can see, I mean, it's pretty foolproof how to do this. Here. Get one's a little short there, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to steal a little bit from a couple of these. I have just a little bit more. See? There we go. That one's definitely a monster. There. See? There. Put it in there. There we go. So, now in the oven, preheated 375. These are going in there for 35 minutes. I'll see you when I come out. Okay, so it's been 30 minutes, just about 35. We're gonna turn our timer off. Reach in here, grab these beautiful things out here, and
You put
come over here. Try to find these. Set that on there. Oven. Now, always take a toothpick, stick them down in, make sure that they're clean or mostly clean for as far as that goes. And then we are going to take these out like this. There. Then we're gonna let them cool about 10 minutes, and then we'll be able to have one. So there it is, my applesauce cranberry oatmeal muffins on a healthy note. If you like what you see, want to see more, be sure to hit that like and that subscribe button. Turn the notifications on. Guys, you can't know how much your subscriptions mean to me. Those likes, the comments, good, bad, ugly, I don't care. Leave me comments. Give me something to talk about. I'll see you for the next one, because our next one is going to be a healthy banana bread that I make. And if you look right over my shoulder over there, you'll see them bananas are just about ripe enough to make it, because you want to make sure that they are good and ripe. So, waiting on the next video. I can't wait to see you then. It's the Old Man Bully. Peace.